Welcome to New Business in Later Life with me, Ildiko Seeley. I'm an Encorepreneur, the routine queen, and the champion of thriving over 50. I'm obsessed with morning routines, energized living, and building businesses that work with your life, not against it. Each week, I share real-life stories from bold later life entrepreneurs who have said no thanks to retirement and hell yes to reinvention, while discussing good health routines for great business. Whether you are launching your first venture or scaling your Encore, you are in the right place. Let's get you fired up, focused, and firmly in the driver's seat of your next chapter. Let's dive in. My guest today is living proof that transformation can spring from the most unexpected places. In Alexandra's case, it's a cancer diagnosis. In a former life, she lived in Paris, she was a corporate events producer, and in her later career, she was creating powerful changes inside blue-chip organizations. But behind the polished professional path is a woman who once ran a ladybird hospital as a child, turned down a role as a silhouette Bond girl at 17, and was serenaded with poetry by none other than Chris Eubank at a Park Lane hotel. But she swears blind that she did not accept his invitation to his room. Alexandra is now a transformational coach, a retreat curator, a podcast host of Cancer Cured Me, and an expert in nervous system regulation and breathwork. This is something she first learned as a life-saving skill during her own cancer treatment. Today, she helps others turn pain into purpose, whether through her retreats, her hands-on healing work, or her soon-to-launch course and grounding meditations. Please welcome the radiant, multi-talented, and utterly fascinating Alexandra Sims. Good morning, Alexandra. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
No problem at all. Well, let's dive straight in. Please tell us, what is the newest business that you've set up?
Well, my business is called Balanced Body and Retreats. It is a wellness business. It started purely as an in-person business, and it was very much, it came from, I was diagnosed with cancer. I was 46 and working in a school, doing what I call a mum job because it fitted in with my children. And I used to have, this big career in corporate events, which I did for like 20 odd years. I did love it. I absolutely loved it. I worked with amazing people. I traveled all around the world. But once you have children, it gets harder to manage that. So I got this sort of job. It was a nice balance because I got the school holidays, but I was still doing events, but within a school, and got this diagnosis completely out of the blue. Just randomly had a postcode lottery invitation for a mammogram, and they picked up cancer. And thank God I went for the mammogram because I nearly didn't, and went through this big cancer journey, which kind of blew me apart mentally and physically. And I completely reassessed my life as a result of it and thought, I don't think I'm meant to just do this. I think I'm here for more. I think this cancer was sent to me to give me a big kick up the backside and say, you're not living in alignment. You need to get out there. And one of the things that I discovered on my recovery journey was lymphatic drainage, so that I didn't get lymphedema, which is quite common after cancer when they remove the lymph nodes. And I invested quite heavily in this amazing, it's like a compression therapy, which mimics manual lymphatic drainage. And I invested in it for myself purely because I didn't want to get lymphedema. And fast forward, we hit lockdown in 2020. And I was like, thank God I have my amazing kind of lymphatic drainage system. And I was having massage for myself all the way through lockdown. And people kept saying to me, oh my God, you look amazing. And how come you're not putting on loads of weight in lockdown? And you're having massage, because we were all so desperate for massage.
Can I just ask, is that a massage that you can do on yourself?
Yeah, so it's like it's like this sort of, I can do manual lymphatic drainage, but it's very, very specialist, and I wouldn't want to be practicing it without, the full qualification, which really you ought to go to Switzerland to get, and it costs thousands and thousands of pounds to be qualified. But this is a medical grade compression therapy suit. It's been in production for 40 years. It's used in hospitals. It's amazing. It's like a giant sort of Michelin Man suit. And then there's a jacket as well. Lots of famous people have them. Jennifer Aniston is always being shown sitting in hers, or Lady Gaga, or, they're but they're very, very expensive. So it was a huge investment. But the more people talk to me about it and what were curious, I thought, you know what, there's a business in this. I feel like I could do it. And I rented a space. I was still working. I rented a space on a Saturday, and I used to just treat people. And in the meantime, one of the things I would sort of really got into was energy healing and lots of different beautiful natural healing modalities, which really helped me come out of that cancer slump that I'd been in, and sort of helped me process a lot of old trauma and all these things. And then I became a Reiki healer as well. So I had this kind of offering of, you can have the lymphatic drainage and you can have the Reiki. And because it got bigger and bigger, I then was able to leave my job. So it was very scary because I've never not worked for anybody. And I like that, I like that stability of knowing you're going to get paid every month and knowing that someone else is responsible for sort of guiding you and managing you. Yeah.
Wow.
And
So at this stage, when
I
you
did
left
it.
your job, how old were you?
50.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty
So,
amazing. It's
yeah.
one of my dream of this whole concept of this podcast and the message that give out that you can be working in corporate all your life, but when you sort of nurturing a dream of some kind, and probably all of this holistic healing was somewhere in you, and it was triggered by your cancer, I would kind of imagine, because you must have
Yeah.
been quite spiritual beforehand in order for you to immerse yourself in it so much. That's my perception, though. So is that a right perception?
I think there were a lot of signs that this was something that I should have been called to a lot earlier. And sadly, I blocked it. I was all in my head. I was in my head, in my head, in my head. Everything was very hard. I suffered a lot with, what I would have called depression, anxiety, and all those things. I was a go-getter in my 20s and 30s. And as soon as I had children, I just started worrying. I never used to understand that people worried. And then I became this quite different person. And had I sort of gone on this spiritual path, then I would have had a completely different life, because now I cannot imagine not having a spiritual practice, not feeling really aligned with the universe and all those kind of things. So, yeah, I mean, that's again why I think cancer went, right, she's not listening to us. Bang, let's give her a dose of cancer. So not enough to kill her, but just enough to really frighten her and go, oh my God, I'm only here for one life and I nearly lost it.
Wow.
So.
That's really quite eye-opening, because I remember reading something about arthritis a while ago, because I've had arthritis for over 20 years now, especially like in the leg joints. Like I started in my knees, or one knee in particular, and it's the sign of slowing down. So I was probably like you, like just constantly going and doing and why not, and being involved. And certain illnesses get sent to us to show us signs that
100%.
there needs to be another way.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's the thing of dis-ease. I'm sure you talk about this as well. Dis-ease. It's like the body's not comfortable. Our bodies are so incredible and they're so able to function perfectly, but we make it really difficult for them because of our toxic behaviors or what we're eating or the environment we're in. And, and I just wasn't aware of that in the way that I am now. It completely transformed my life. And I just went on this mission to spread the wellness message and this sort of holistic message to as many people as possible through my business. And then I can carry on and tell you sort of where it went from then.
Can I ask you some specific questions, please?
Yeah.
Especially about spiritual and mental health. When I ask people in various groups, when I say what I do, looking after every area of your health, physical, mental, spiritual, and intellectual health, in order to be a whole person, especially for business people like you and I, to run our business better. And, it relates to business so much. If you don't look after any particular area of your business as well as the others, then it ain't going to operate up at an optimum level. So why should we not do the same to our body? And when we are operating at an optimum level, then we can run our business together. So that's better. So that's the circle. So when I ask people in various circles of which areas of health they look after, a lot of people, generally nearly 100%, do say they do something about their physical health. Being in business, a lot of people do say that, yes, they look after their intellectual health as well, because they read books, they read business books, they do self-development, business development, and so on. But when it comes to mental health and spiritual health, that kind of drops way, way down. So let's share it with our fellow business owners
Yeah.
and listeners who want to be business owners or want to start up a business, why it's so important to look after your
Oh, I
mental
love
health
that. I love
and
that question
and
because
spiritual health.
it changes everything. I mean, I hear all the time that actually the top leaders in the world all have a meditation practice because
There you go.
they wouldn't have those creative ideas. You know, Steve Jobs was famous for his meditation practice, and that has been an unbelievable game changer for me. And I was, you know, one of those people. I know we talk about this. Oh, I can't meditate. I can't meditate. My mind's so busy. I can never shut down my thoughts. And then finally, I started learning about it properly quite a few years ago. And well, obviously after cancer. And it was like, no, 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 no. Your mind is meant to think. You will never switch off your thoughts until the day you die. You are just meant to be still and listen and observe. And when
Yeah.
you stand back and separate yourself from those thoughts. So I still struggled. So my practice is, and this is what I advise anyone who has that super busy brain, is I have a breath work practice, and that works beautifully for me. And I habit stack it so that I build it into my morning routine. And after that, it's only 10 minutes really of infinity breathing, you know, the constant in, out with no breaks in between. And then I sort of come into this very calm visualization and meditation. And it never ceases to blow my mind what drops into my head at that time, because then you're just completely allowing, because we're so, you know, our soul is so creative. We have so many incredible ideas that we never allow to come to fruition because we're just not giving ourselves the opportunity to hear
Yeah.
them.
We just
And it
allow
all
our brain
pop
to
and
be
it, yeah.
busy.
Yeah, it's like, oh no, I need to do this. I need to do that. No, you need to get quiet and you listen. I am evangelical about my morning walk. I have to put my feet on the grass. I have to be in the fields. Luckily, I have a dog, so I'm forced to do it
All
anyway,
right. Okay.
come rain or shine. But when I'm out in the fields, I don't have my phone. I used to always be listening to music or podcasts, and now I'm like, nope, phone's on, do not disturb. And I'm just waiting. I'm just looking at the trees. I'm being really conscious of my feet on the ground. I'm feeling the beautiful, you know, energy of nature. And I can go on about it for days, because if people allow this and have this practice, it will change their lives. It's changed my life. It's
Yes,
changed my
I
life.
completely share that. It's like, was it last summer? I think it was a summer solstice gathering at a friend's. One of the ladies told me that I should be grounding myself a bit more.
Mm,
And it's like, she said, anywhere, just be barefoot, anywhere that the sun or the moon
mm,
rays touch. It's like, okay. So I started to take my meditation practice outside. Unfortunately, it was height of
mm.
summer, although I did actually carry on and quite late into the winter. And I just put my winter coat on and take a blanket with me.
Yeah.
But until it got too cold to breathe in because it was sub-zero, I would actually go and sit outside. And that was,
Oh, I
as you
love
say,
that.
absolutely revolutionary to do
Yes.
my 10-minute meditation practice outside, properly breathing fresh air.
Yes.
But to
Oh.
calm my mind, my personal coping mechanism for calming my mind for the meditation practice, because time is precious and I
Mm,
do fit a lot in my morning routine. So I need to make
mm.
sure that the 10 minutes is focused
Yeah.
on not focusing, or kind of, I repeat back what I hear. And when I say it out loud,
Oh, I love that.
I've got no choice but to listen to the practice
Yeah.
rather than listen to my busy brain going on about a zillion things that I might do that day or the next week or whatever. And that way I just really sort of connect myself with that particular meditation practice.
I love that. I love that. I hum as well. I do a lot of
Mm.
when I finish my breath work and I on the out breath, you know, so you get that vibration through your body,
Yes.
and it's so powerful. And it
I should
just
do it a lot
allows
more.
that.
Apparently, it's really good for the sinuses, and I have sinus issues. And
Oh gosh. And the alternate nostril breathing.
yeah,
I love that. That's very calming for the nervous system. I talk so much about the nervous system on my podcast, which I haven't mentioned yet. But yeah, that's one of the things that's happened post 50.
yeah. So just sticking with the mental health side of things. So,
Mm,
is there anything in particular you could recommend to people to do? Many different things, because like just touching on the spiritual side, meditation is not the only thing, is it?
no, no,
So
absolutely
if
not. I'm
uh, Would you have any other examples to share with people? What other things to do for spiritual health?
I mean, my greatest spiritual practice, and people say, well, that's not a spiritual practice, but it is for me, is my walk. It's a very
Yeah.
specific walk that I choose to do because, and also I get a lot of raised eyebrows because I take my shoes off in the fields and I see other dog walkers sometimes. I could care less. I just take my shoes off and
Oh.
I love it. I used to, when I go for Reiki and things like that, they'd say to me, we just can't ground you. We can't ground you. I was so in my head back in the day. I just wasn't able to ground, and now I can ground easily. So, you know, getting your feet on the ground in nature, or I'll go into a forest and I will literally hug trees because the energy in trees is insane, and they're so, oh, they are so grounding. So anything like that. I mean, people, I mean, I'm very lucky that I have a field literally behind my house, and it's really special to me to just get out there, and I almost feel my ancestors around me, and all, you know, I feel very, very wrapped up in the whole spiritual side of things, and it's amazing. And I have some of my greatest business ideas, and I sometimes have to quickly type them into my notes page so I don't forget them. But yeah, anything, any form of nature. If you live in a busy city, you know, if you could just get to a park or literally get yourself around a tree. I know that sounds slightly woo-woo to people, but it's so good.
I think the main thing here is just get out of the thought of what people will think. Because I do that, like in the summer, especially when it's really easy. I just take my shoes off and walk on the grass barefoot. Love it.
Yes.
Absolutely love it.
Yeah.
And it's like sometimes, depending on who you are with, they would say like, oh, what will people think? I don't really care what people
I don't
think.
really
I'm just
care.
walking barefoot in the grass
Yeah,
or whatever, just enjoying the
absolutely.
moment.
We weren't made to wear shoes. We've got feet for a reason, that they are perfectly capable of walking on the ground. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's what we need to do. So don't block them with your shoes. So I love that. That for me is magical. And I know it's not for everybody, but because I used to say, oh, what is my spiritual practice? And I used to think it had to be a set routine of all
No,
the
not at
things, and
all. Not
it's
at all.
nothing like that. And I wish people knew that it is really whatever makes you come alive and feel in flow and
That's
feel like,
exactly what I want to teach people is that
oh,
it's not a one size fits all. It's not a
no,
plate I'm going to give them. It's this
no,
whole list of things that you can do and just pick the one that suits you. We talk
yes,
about the fact that they actually all interlink anyway. I mean, I
of
have a friend who
course.
uses running for a
Mm,
spiritual, like, you know, for an
mm,
emotional grounding. So yeah, every single practice interlinks
yeah. Oh
anyway.
my gosh. I've got a very traditional husband, I'm going to call him, who says, yes, you do your thing, not for me, not for me. You know, he thinks I'm crazy, but he doesn't realize that when he comes home from a crazy day and he's been a drummer all his life, he used to play in bands. Sadly, now he's in an office, and he'll come home and he'll play the drums, and he will come out a different person. I'm like, you do know that's a spiritual
That is your
practice.
spiritual and mental health practice.
So yeah,
Absolutely.
you find what works for you, and you don't have to call it a spiritual practice, but we're all spiritual whether we like it or not.
Yeah.
So,
But would you be able to make suggestions for any mental health practices?
oh gosh, yes, because honestly, it makes me quite sad. It was the bane of my life. I took antidepressants. I came off
Right.
them. I went back on them. I look back, and after my first daughter, I 100% had postnatal depression that wasn't picked up. So it has been very hard. I got into things like CBT and talking therapies. And again, nothing like that worked for me because
Okay.
I didn't need to relive everything. I didn't need to be talking about it. So again, breath work, like the very full-on holotropic breathing has been
Okay.
a game changer for me. I wouldn't suggest people do it a lot, but for me, it released so much trauma from my body and calmed my mind and has really changed my mental health. I'm also one of those people who, and this is not everyone's favorite tip, but I will have my shower every morning and then I switch it to cold, and I will have my cold waters. But then I like ice baths and I like swimming in the sea in the winter. So it works for me. It
I'm
works for
looking
me.
forward to the day when we will live in a house with a little sauna and have my own plunge pool. Because my
Yes.
absolute favorite part of my morning routine is my cold shower. I do it for
Really? Oh, it's
minimum 3 minutes
amazing.
because it's my determination fuel. Obviously, starting up a
Mm,
business and trying to run a business, you need to be so focused and determined every single day.
yeah,
And it's that cold shower that gets me. I've just done something hard, something amazing. I got through this. If I can
exactly.
get through this, I can get through anything. And
Exactly.
I do my gratitude. And oh,
Yes.
it's absolutely fabulous.
It's,
And yeah, I
I
will
love it.
actually write a little section about how to cold shower because
Yeah.
well, just
Yeah. That would
pass
be
on my
good.
own little thing because it
Definitely.
is the best thing I do in the morning.
And you're
And
right.
hard.
It's proving to yourself from the get-go that I can do hard things.
Yeah,
And I got through that and actually I feel better. So isn't it better to just do the flipping thing? Just do it. And
exactly.
because it is habit stacking, isn't it? You're in the shower anyway. So just switch that. So many times I've gone, oh, I don't know if I can turn it to cold today. And I always do. And then I always feel better. So just do it.
Yeah, it is the other thing I tend to talk about is the determination factor. And this is
Yeah.
it. My cold shower is my determination fuel because,
Mm,
I guess stepping into the cold bath in the morning is not easy.
no.
Turning the cold shower on is not easy. Stepping under it is not easy. But
Yeah.
then it's like, right, come on, deep breath, go for it. But then afterwards, that buzz, oh, it's just fabulous.
It's
The
nothing like
feeling that
it.
I've done it, my skin is all prickly, I'm ready to roll, I'm energized. It's
Mm.
fantastic.
And then you
And,
get really warm and your
mm,
circulation feels fantastic. It's amazing.
and is that feeling at the end is what fuels me the
Mm.
next morning, the bit that gets me that determination next
Yeah.
morning to go
Yeah.
again.
Yeah. And also, if I don't do it, I'll feel a bit rubbish. So why wouldn't I just do it?
True. It's a funny one, staying away, especially you go on a summer holiday and in the hot countries, you can't get cold water.
No, it won't go properly cold, will it? I know.
Even
I don't really think this was doing the right thing because it's sort of lukewarm.
Yeah, and of course you go to the Mediterranean, the sea is warm, so you can't even get the relief from that. But
Exactly.
like
Exactly. It's a tricky one.
21st century problems, eh?
I know. Absolutely.
Ah, that's brilliant. So basically you do the Reiki,
Mhm.
the lymphatic drainage massage.
Red light therapy. So we have red light therapy as well, which is amazing for reducing inflammation. And as we know, most disease is
Mm.
caused by inflammation in the body, which is generally as a dysregulated nervous system. And, so I love red light therapy. Um, and then what I found was happening, the more clients I was receiving into my business, that we would be having these very, very deep conversations. I probably like when people go to the hairdressers and they tell the hairdresser things they wouldn't even tell their husband, you
Yeah,
just get into these real deep conversations. And of course, when you have a business that's offering Reiki and lymphatic drainage and things like that, you receive aligned clients. You're not going to receive someone who's really cynical about all the spiritual stuff. And
probably, yeah.
you're going to have people, and it's like, wow, I literally called in the best people, and I've sort of made some incredible friends along the way. And so I found that I was starting to coach them, and they were coming to me and saying, oh my God, since we had that conversation, I've left my job. I'm now registered for a coaching course. I'm going to become a coach. And this is what I've always wanted to do. And if we hadn't had that conversation, I just wouldn't have been brave enough. And, they sort of know obviously my story and that I had left a very secure job to start my own business and how it was thriving and bringing me so much joy to help other people. And so I very easily fell into offering the coaching as well. And I was very
Ah, that's fantastic.
naturally drawing in people who've gone through a cancer journey. And, so we had
Mm.
that connection, and they wanted to know how they could then go on to change their lives sort of in the way that I had, or what had worked for me. And I was then able to share that. And then I took that a step further because I come from this 25 years of corporate events production. I started running retreats so that I could bring everyone together and in a safe space, offering all the different healing practices. One of the ones we haven't talked about is EFT, with the tapping and
No,
emotional
what does
freedom
the EFT
technique.
stand for, please?
Emotional freedom technique. So the
Okay.
tapping, so when you're tapping on the meridian
Uh,
points and you're going through
practiced it, because the lady
yeah.
follow the meditation practice that I do every morning. There's this lady who puts it, she's actually got a membership now. She started off on Instagram and Spotify, just posting daily meditation practices. And sometimes she does the tapping.
Yeah, it's a
And I
great
sort of quite
clearer.
enjoy it because, yeah, it's sort of that nice sort of mantra-like
Yes,
repetitive action.
yes,
And then because you're concentrating on it all, again, you just sort of pause your mind and you are
yeah,
able to just spend a little time with yourself without
absolutely.
worrying about anything that's going on in the world. And that's so
100%.
important to
Yeah.
take those few minutes out of
Yeah, and it gives you that
your
focus,
day.
as you say. So if you say, "Oh, I can't meditate," well, you can tap and you can literally talk through the problem as you tap through, and then you get answers as you tap through. It's amazing. So I like to do that as part of a whole sort of workshop on the retreats. And then, yeah, we do yin yoga, getting really deeply into stretching the body, and yoga nidra, those beautiful meditations where you're sort of half awake, half asleep. And
I would be the
we
one
do,
snoring.
yeah. And then my other biggest, and I don't know your thoughts on this, but sound healing has been huge for me. So I'm a regular sound bath attendee. I'm actually going to one tonight with a cacao ceremony, which I can't wait. It's candlelit. And I think sound is incredible. I know, I talked about humming, which is the whole vibration thing, but sound baths to me are the most deeply relaxing thing
I need to
possible.
find a way to enjoy it more. I have been to a few sound bath sessions, varying sizes. There was one truly amazing one run by a couple. They had so many
Oh,
instruments,
wow.
quite a few people who fitted into the room. It was a very large sort of attendance. But
Right.
she actually walked around with some of the instruments.
Yes.
So then there was, when you're laying there with your eyes shut, when the sound sort of travels around you in a way,
Surrounds you.
all I wanted to do was just sit up and admire
Have a
the
look.
instrument. So it was really hard because I then stayed with my eyes shut and immersed myself, but my mind kept racing like, I just want to see what's making that beautiful sound.
Yeah.
But then again,
I did that the first few
that's
times I had to watch.
that's the ADHD brain
I was going
working.
to say that was my ADHD brain.
But then another one was much more simple. So then I was able to completely immerse in it. Yeah, it's interesting. I was going to ask you about your retreats a little bit more as well. How often do you run them?
So I've been doing sort of day retreats for a little
Right.
while now, and finding that people absolutely love them and they have a big breakthrough. We do quite full-on breathwork sessions within them, and it might be people who've never tried breathwork before.
Okay.
And breathwork can bring up emotion. It can bring, and obviously we couple it, we plan them quite carefully so that then you get the nice sound bath healing to calm the nervous system again. But a lot of stuff comes up and it opens people's eyes to these practices, which, you and I are on a mission to get people to do these things. So a retreat is a great way to start, and you're only in it for a day. So you're not sort of fully committed. So they come for a day. And then what's been happening is people saying, I've loved this. And, people have said to me, that changed my life that day, because after that, I started doing this and, and then my business changed and da, 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 da. So they were asking, they love the connection and, the meeting like-minded people. And wouldn't it be nice if we could all stay over and stay for a few nights? So then I've sort of developed them more into 3-night retreats where I can bring in so much more and really help people transition through the emotions, but come out feeling completely rejuvenated and transformed as a result, with clear intentions for their way forward and an idea of a practice that they're going to take back into daily life. And, coupled with beautiful like Ayurvedic food, and even learning a little bit about how to bring that sort of food simply into your life, and just, being right out in nature, a bit of cold water swimming, all the practices that we've talked about being incorporated. Yeah. And it's just a joy to watch these transformations. And, for me, it's like, this is the universe going, and this is what you were meant to do. So how you did events for all those years and you had so much fun in your 20s and 30s, but they were all a little bit, they're corporate at the end of the day. They're just making people money. And now you're changing how people are living their lives, because it's not because I'm like, I'm so clever, listen to me. No, I just want you to experience them. And if I can hold that space for people to come along and experience it in a really beautiful setting with people, like-minded people and incredible teachers. So most of the teachers have also, been guests on my podcast. And so, yeah, it all works together really beautifully.
Wonderful. You mentioned cold water swimming. What sort of water is near you?
For me, it's a nightmare. I am the furthest point in England from the sea. So that is not good. So I've been known to drive over to the coast in Kent on a cold January morning just to get dipping in the sea with a group over there.
You need to come and move down to Devon.
Tell me about it. I've said this to my husband many times. I feel very alive in Devon and Cornwall. It's a real spiritual home for me. So
much nature. You've got the sea.
Oh my God, it's just heaven. I love it there. I love it. I'm coming down soon, so don't worry. But no, for me to get in the water is tricky. I mean, where the next retreat's being held, there's an incredible lake there, and it's just always what it's called wilderness. So the whole place is very wild and gorgeous. But for me, that's why I have my own ice bath because I can't do. I mean, I do have a friend who swims in a lake not that far away, but I hate to say I'm not the biggest fan of lakes, and I like it to be a bit clearer.
I wonder if it's a bit of an English or whatever British thing, because like I'm Hungarian. Hungary is a landlocked country. So we got rivers and lakes, or even just like kind of reservoirs where the rivers have been kind of, blocked up or something.
Yeah.
So I grew up swimming in rivers and lakes.
Okay.
So for me, it's nothing.
I know, I've got issues, haven't I? Just get in the water.
And it's so hard to get my husband into anything other than the sea. And he says exactly the same as you, that you're like it clearer. But I think it's kind of this island mentality, I suppose, about, because you have access to the sea, which is considered clear and clean. I mean, you might see through it a little better, but
and it's probably not clean at all.
No difference. I mean, okay, maybe some tidal rivers are a bit more muddy kind of thing, but otherwise, effectively, there's no difference.
Yeah.
It's still full of fish.
Yeah, you're right. But, a great story for me on how effective the cold water swimming is. So my lovely sister has lived with MS for 21 years now, and she's incredible. She's still doing great on her feet. And one of the things she attributes it to is she invested and put a pool in her garden, and she swims year round in the cold. And she said, if I don't do that, I can't move my legs. The numbness is so bad. But if she swims, it changes everything. And that's, with an autoimmune disease. So it probably works.
Let's go into your podcast.
In one of my practices, I can't remember if it was in a breath work or meditation, whatever I was, it would drop in quite often about a podcast. You can probably tell, we're both good talkers. We love a chat. and actually, then I was involved in this amazing course I was doing. Another one of the things, post-cancer journeys I was on was, into what's my soul purpose? What am I really here for? And obviously now I feel very much that I found that. But you had to keep coming up with what is your superpower? And I'm like, I haven't got any superpower. I'm just so ordinary and there's nothing special. And I don't have anything to offer. And, very negative self-talk, all the mental health rubbish. And then all that kept coming up was your superpower is talking. Like your superpower is just talking. And then I would sort of, as part of this course, I would just hold these Zoom sessions where we would just all talk and just have a lovely time, just talk for no reason. And then the whole podcast thing used to pop in. It's like, but you could just record a podcast and channel it that way. But I, again, got really into my head. But what on earth would you make a podcast about? Like, who wants to listen to you? No one wants to listen to you. And then I kept going to what's the greatest pain in your life that you could maybe help people with? So what's been your greatest pain that you've overcome that you could channel? Anyway, this thing of cancer cured me, which is obviously what we've been talking about, that cancer was given to me for a reason. And I hold my hand up and say, we've all lost people to cancer. It's horrific. I'm not belittling how horrific cancer can be in so many of our lives. But for me, I believe it was given to me for a reason, as I say, to get out of my own way, get on with my life, live it to the full, and inspire other people to do the same. So I launched it, called it Cancer Cured Me, the beginning of this year. After I had 4 years of talking about it. Took me 4 years to literally finally do the
Finally
course that
do
taught me
it.
how to do it. And because I made it about the technical side. Oh, well, I can't do it because it's too technical. Oh, I can't do it because I'm not quite sure about the angle of it. But believe me, and I'm sure you say this on the podcast, just take the next step. Just take action.
Absolutely.
And you'll be guided. And so that's what I did. So Cancer Cured Me is out there. We're up to about 30 episodes. I don't know when this goes out, but it will hopefully be a lot more than that. And I absolutely love it. And we share a lot of the stuff that we've talked about today, like all the things that I found post-cancer and other really inspiring stories from people who've gone on their own journey of adversity or,
this is it.
life challenge.
Sharing these amazing stories of people starting up new businesses in their 50s, 60s, 70s.
Yes.
And I'm looking forward to finding people in their 80s or even their 90s. So
I bet you will.
One day somebody will recommend someone to come and guest on the show who started new businesses much later in their 80s or 90s.
Oh my God.
Because they're just refusing to retire and just keep
absolutely.
going.
Well, you can talk to my dad. He's 84 and he works full time in his business. And he said, the day I retire is the day I die. So he will never, he is like a 50-year-old. He's unbelievable. But yeah, he thrives on it.
Funny enough, I see my dad like that.
Really?
70, whatever, 8 or something. And slowing down a little. But I don't think he'll ever stop until he's literally on his deathbed.
No, my dad's still motor racing. He's still motor racing. He's just given up skiing because he thought maybe he shouldn't ski.
Blimey. How old you said he was?
84.
Wow.
Honestly, he doesn't look a day over like 50, 60. So I'm thinking, I'm hoping those are my genes.
Yeah. A nice long...
Yeah, that longevity.
Is it appropriate to say healthy life, or you consider yourself healthy now that you are over?
Yeah, oh my God. I think had I not had cancer, I don't know that I would consider myself healthy. And now I think,
interesting.
I properly look after myself now. Yeah, 100%. I consider myself very healthy.
That's really thought-provoking, isn't it? That we think we are leading a pretty okay life, and until life actually throws us a curveball, we don't realize by how bad it was.
I have interviewed people on my podcast who've also gone through a cancer journey. One of them, similar to me with breast cancer, and she then wrote a book because, of course, she did, because she came out the other side and she now helps women in business. And she, in her book, wrote a chapter which was a love letter to cancer because she thanked cancer for showing her all the ways that she wasn't healed. And then someone I interviewed literally recently, he's an incredible man who lives with a really terrifying form of cancer in his brain, which is terminal. And he was told 10 years ago that he had 3 months to live. 10 years ago. And he is running the most incredible foundation for people going through a cancer journey. And he literally said to me, oh my God, my life would never have been as incredible as it is had I not had cancer. He just thinks he lives his best life and he still knows he's on borrowed time, but he's not going anywhere. And he puts that all down to cold water plunging, red light therapy. And he's set up a center for other people to have all the alternative therapies. He said, because yes, I had the hospital treatment, but it's a very small part of the healing. You need to do all the other stuff. And he's an absolute authority on cancer.
I don't ever want to experience it. Obviously, none of us do. I have it in my head that if I do, I don't think I want to have any chemotherapy.
No.
Because in my eyes, that's designed, I mean, this is a very personal opinion.
Yeah.
It's designed to kill.
Yeah.
To kill cells, healthy or not.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know, in my head, I just feel like that's what kills you, not the cancer.
Well,
these really invasive treatments.
Yeah. And again, this is only opinions. And I know it's a very dodgy territory sometimes these days, but he said exactly the same thing. He said, I had chemotherapy. I know what chemotherapy is. He said, but I chose to have it anyway. And now he's at risk of early onset dementia because of the damage that chemotherapy did.
I'm surprised you haven't mentioned oxygen therapy yet.
No, that was another one. Yeah, that was another. The hyperbaric oxygen. Like the hyperbaric oxygen chambers, is that what you mean?
Well, I'm not an expert at all. I
Okay.
have a friend who cured himself with
Yeah.
sort of similar to you in a way, that he had, I don't know, stage 4 or something, cancer, whichever part of his body. And then he started researching things just like you, and then did all sorts of things. But one of the main things he mentions is the
Yeah.
oxygen therapy. So if there's a much more specific phrase for it, I personally don't know.
I think that's just the name of the chambers that you go. Yeah.
Okay.
And again, and this gentleman I'm talking about, he would tell you that that's been the greatest healer for him. And he explained it to me incredibly well. It's very scientific, so I'm not going to try and tell you, but go look it up because it does sound incredible. I'm going to be having some sessions as well.
Begs the question that if it's so successful, but people have to go and look for it themselves, why isn't the medical profession using it rather than these incredibly invasive, destroying drugs?
It probably doesn't make enough money.
I was just literally, as I asked the question, I thought maybe
because you can't market it and sell it to millions.
the drug companies obviously have a massive grip on us, don't they? But anyway, let's not go political.
No, let's not go political. We'll be shut down.
Let's go back to business and good health routine.
Yeah, absolutely. And, and the more of us who find these things, then they won't be able to ignore it. The more of us who find these amazing alternative therapies, then, I mean, Reiki is used. I think Reiki is now prescribed.
Okay.
And yeah, there's some sound healing coming into hospitals, tuning forks, things like that. It's very small, but if you look hard enough, it's coming in. So yeah.
There is hope that alternative therapies, but they are nature therapies rather, aren't they?
Yeah. And I don't like calling them alternative. No, I feel like they're the main ones.
I was going to say, for the first time ever, saying that felt wrong.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Alternative therapy.
Because it suggests that, you're a bit out there. You're trying something alternative, something a bit different that no one else is really doing. No, that should be the mainstream. Non-invasive.
So all sorts of thoughts are going through my head. Like,
yeah, I bet.
our elders knew things, because all of these now called alternative therapies, these nature therapies and treating ourselves from nature, like all the plants that have been put on this earth are there to help us be healthy.
Yeah.
But then, of course, we created these synthetic things, but then we are eating and breathing synthetic things, which are then causing these diseases to be a lot more widespread. Or maybe in the past, our elders just weren't able to identify that this was this cancer or that cancer, but so many illnesses had their cures from nature already.
Absolutely.
Just we've sort of gone into this synthetic world, and now we're sort of trying to dig ourselves out of it, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, literally, this world was so beautifully created. Everything was just given to us. It's all there. Everything's there to heal us. Most of the time, the body works perfectly. And as I said before, until we start putting toxic things into it or toxic environments. In fact, one of the things we talked about that this gentleman was saying has changed his life is the water that he drinks now. And he uses this and I can't be quoted on this because I can't remember what it's called, but one of the things he has in his foundation center for people healing from cancer is this very, very advanced filtration system. It's like about £3,000. And he said, because there is so much heavy metal in our waters, the chlorine in our waters, all the things that we all know. And he said, if you do nothing else, just filter your water. Just filter your water. Don't drink tap water.
Funny enough, I think next Monday I have an appointment with them for a demonstration.
No way.
Yeah, yes way. I saw them at a local, so in Cornwall, that we do go every year to this sort of home and garden show, like a self-build, because we've got a property business as well. So it kind of fits in. And we started going a few years ago. And this year, it was last month, like in early May, I think it was. And I came across them. And of course, because I've got, comes with age or not, maybe, whatever, I've got a few health issues. So I sort of listened to it. It sounded very interesting. And then we booked in a consultation day. It sounds to be the same. And then funny enough, I can't even remember why. A couple of weeks ago, I looked up oxygen therapy, whether there was anything available in Plymouth. And I did find a centre where they have these oxygen capsules, whatever they're called, chambers.
Yeah, the chambers,
And they do have that water system installed there. So it sounds very similar to to what this gentleman is talking
Yeah.
about.
Well, he
Sounds
certainly
like
knows his stuff. Yeah.
he has the same thing, has this center with oxygen chambers as well
Yeah.
as particular water filter system.
Yeah. But it's
Um,
all offered as a charity offering. Yeah.
okay,
It's got some
interesting.
national lottery funding, but yeah,
Oh, wow.
it relies on people fundraising for them all the time. He's got a
Yeah.
waiting list of 450 people that they can't even help yet. So I'm hoping to start helping him, because my dream is to hold the retreats I'm talking about. At the moment, people pay to come on them, but I want them to be free to the people who really need them, who really, I mean, of course, we all need them, but the people who've gone through, for me, obviously a cancer journey, because that's so personal to me, because I know what happens when you come out on the other side, and it's really quite scary, and you have a choice to either carry on living your life exactly as you were before and probably get cancer again.
Yeah, get in return.
Or you can live terrified of getting it again and think you're making change, or you can just fully embrace it and say, thank you, that was a lesson. Now I'm going to start doing all of this. And so I think, I want to help him get his waiting list down and start getting funding to take people on the retreat so they can get a short, sharp 3 days intensive and then go away and take the practices into their everyday life. So that's a little dream of mine.
Are you too close to each other? Are you able to collaborate?
No, annoyingly, he's
not?
in Liverpool and I'm further south. I'm just north of London, but I'm going up there. I mean, we literally met through the podcast. They approached me for him to come on the podcast, but he speaks on stages all over the world. He's an incredible speaker. Such great stories. I mean, I won't start talking about another person's life on here, but yeah, he's very inspirational and he's totally in line with what you and I are talking about.
Sounds very interesting. I'd be quite happy to look him up.
Yeah, definitely.
Later on,
definitely.
especially for the speaking. I'm training.
Oh, amazing! Yeah,
I'm training to be an expert speaker, and I'm looking forward to standing on stages and encourage people to look after their health holistically.
Fantastic.
Every area of their health.
Yeah.
And on the note, it's just sort of burning on my mind to share it. I must have shared it in a few episodes already, but I think it's quite important because what we talked about earlier is that it's not a one size fits all. It's not you need to meditate for 10 minutes in order to look after your spiritual health. It's not at all like that. In my own very personal experience, I tried to, because I found this girl and I love her voice. I love the little structure of the 10-minute meditation sessions and it fits me perfectly well. And there was a particular topic one Sunday morning. It's like, I really want to share this with my husband. So I said, let's meditate together, put it on. And at the end, he literally had a panic attack. And I didn't understand. And then we started talking about it and then it uncovered that something triggered him. Which is fine. So I understood, okay, so I never forced it again. But then occasionally we used to go to a local spa. And then one time it was just after Christmas and he came out of the spa and went up to the cafe, sat down and he wrote out his plans for the year, his personal, his business, everything, like loads of things he wanted to achieve and do and whatever. And he said he was literally sitting in the sauna without his phone, I must emphasize.
Yeah.
And the environment of that, the heat, the relaxation. So suddenly his body was able to relax and then his mind was able to relax. And then all these amazing thoughts and plans came to him. Fortunately, he was able to hold them until we were out of there and he was able to write them down. Unfortunately for me, that probably wouldn't work. I blame it on a menopausal brain, but whatever it is or not, I don't know.
God. You're absolutely right. Not one size fits all. Yeah.
Absolutely. Goes to show that you find what suits you and then do you.
Yes, you do you.
And then, so since then, that's what he does.
I love that.
We've got a membership now. It inspired to get a membership and he puts up with the gym in order to then get into the spa and sit in the sauna and relax in there. And that's his way of looking after his mental and spiritual health.
Love it because it's a male perspective. And as I say, like my husband's so anti all of this and yet he doesn't know that his drumming practice is literally his release and where all his stuff drops.
You mention it to him, but does he really put two and two together and accepts that?
He slightly eye rolls. Oh yeah. But honestly, I always say to him, when we have our best times is when we go to a live concert together. Because I literally watch him and he's got a beautiful voice and he sings his heart out and he's so happy. He's like on this high. He's not even drinking anymore, so it's not alcohol induced. And and I can see he's in his highest vibration, which is obviously what music does for us. It is literally that vibration. So it's accentuated. It's a band who he loves to watch. You know, he's always, as I said, he's been in bands, so he loves watching live bands. And it's so lovely. And I just think, you know what, I don't need to lecture him. Oh, you need this practice, you know, because he's doing it organically. And a lot of us are, but sometimes you might need a little bit of pointing in the right direction.
It's so funny when I ask my guests, so what sort of routine have you got? Oh, I don't have any routine. And then we sort of dig into it a little bit. It's like, oh yeah, I do this, and oh yeah, I do that as well. Actually, I do have a house routine.
I actually do it.
But I think you are right. If he keeps eye rolling, you just you put it really well. Don't lecture him, but just it be good enough that you know that he does look after his mental and spiritual health as well in his own way.
And he's very consistent, because there's that thing, isn't there? Men have a 24-hour cycle, whereas we have a monthly cycle. So they process emotions a lot faster, and everything it doesn't really stagnate as much with them. And I think he's very consistent and level, whereas I've spent my life going up, down, up, down, up, down, you know, all the hormone stuff, all the menopause stuff. Blah. So yeah, it's we're just very different. But no, he's very good at keeping himself in a good place. He just doesn't choose to meditate but I did get him to a sound bath. And he did say he enjoyed it.
But we already established that his meditation practice is the drumming.
It is. It really is.
And it's the rhythm, the sound.
Yeah. Drumming is powerful.
Monotone in a positive way, monotone. You know, the sounds. Yeah. Fabulous. Absolutely fabulous. I do love the drums, actually.
Yeah, they're amazing. I've got two of my children play drums, and he plays drums, so it's really lovely.
Oh my, they could have a drum.
It's very loud.
A drum band. We went to a drum concert a while back. It's very rare to come across drum performances. Once I got tickets for a Japanese one, and they got turned back at customs.
No.
Absolutely gutted.
Yeah, because they're so amazing to watch, just all drums. Oh, I love that. In fact, there's one thing I'd really like to share, if you're happy for me to just share this.
Go for it.
Talking about people not being able to meditate. I did an episode on the podcast on sound healing, specifically with someone who does the most incredible sound baths, and she uses her voice. She's an amazing musician. She has this beautiful voice. I made her record it separately so I could share it with people so they could take it into their own homes. But apparently, if you listen to binaural beats for 15 minutes a day, it's all the body needs to completely calm it and reduce all inflammation to keep you dis-ease free. And she explained that people think, because you can go on Spotify and find binaural beats, there's thousands of them.
Okay.
You know, those specific frequencies, and it has to be on these specific frequencies. But what she explained is, to receive the benefits of binaural beats, which is the equivalent of like an hour's meditation, you need to be wearing on-ear headphones. I'm wearing. So they go over your ears and cover your ears. And what happens is, one frequency goes in one ear, and then a slightly different, say 2 or 3 hertz different, goes in the other ear. And the brain creates the third frequency. So it causes your brain to create that. She explains it beautifully on my podcast. By doing that, apparently is the magic that completely calms the nervous system, that takes the inflammation away. So I promoted it as for those people who can't meditate. And like we said, everyone's different. And quite a few people said to me, I can do that because I can literally just sit and listen to the music. Of course I can do that. So it's for someone like my husband, he will do that because I can listen to music. So I just think that's fascinating. That's it's scientifically proven to work. You know, they've assessed people and measured their brain waves and all the things that happen. So yeah, I think there's so much magic in the sound and music.
Fascinating.
Yeah, it really is. It really is.
Thank you very much for sharing that.
You're welcome.
I've heard about it. I probably couldn't write down the name of it, so I'll probably come back to you afterwards.
Yeah, of course.
but or can you just repeat it slowly, please?
So binaural beats,
binaural.
binaural, binaural beats. So there's
Binaural. Okay.
Yeah, so there's solfeggio frequencies and there's binaural beats. But yeah, if anyone just looks it up, I mean, like I say, it's on my podcast. There's an episode all about it.
Yeah, cool.
But it's out there. You can Google it. But I love that she explained it, because I didn't realize that thing of it being slightly different in both ears.
So it wouldn't work with the in-ear pods.
And possibly, but she sort of specified that you really want to cover the ears. I think as long as you've got headphones, it's probably better, but you can't just listen on a speaker.
Rather than on a speaker, yeah.
Because you've got to experience the difference in the right ear and the left ear.
Right, I get you. That's the main thing. Yeah, probably the in-ear phone.
I think that would be fine. I think that would be fine.
Because we all have those little in-ear
of course.
nowadays, don't we? So
but don't be using the ones with the old EMF. Don't be getting those electromagnetic frequencies. Well, because I've been wearing, and other brands are available, you know, I was wearing AirPods for quite a long time, obviously with no wires.
Yeah.
And I was feeling for the rest of the day like they were still in my ears, like a burning. They were still in my ears. And that's the EMF, the electromagnetic frequency. And when I did the episode on the sound healing, she said, please don't ever use them again. It's like the worst thing you can do. So I switched to these straight away.
Wow, very educational.
Yeah, that's why I love doing the podcast. You learn so much.
That's brilliant.
Yeah. And I bought all my family wired headphones, like all stop using AirPods.
Blimey. Yeah, we thought we were getting away from the wired ones. I'll look at it. I mean, I've got 3 sets, but
yeah, have a look at EMF.
Yeah. That's really thought-provoking.
It's damaging the brain, basically. Damaging the brain. So yeah, I don't want anything damaging my brain. I've lost my mum to Alzheimer's and I do not want any damage to my brain.
Yeah, and also it's kind of like, because they're so lightweight and sitting comfortably and all that, it's so easy to forget about them as well. And you keep them in, and if you don't switch them off, don't disconnect them, then probably they are still transmitting those waves constantly.
Yeah. Oh, I was really feeling the burning, and really I felt like I could feel them in there even when they weren't.
Gosh. And like these technology companies sort of catching up on these sort of things, and
I hope so.
It always feels like that whenever something medical comes out like this, that this has been proven that these electromagnetic fields are damaging our brain. It should be legal to manufacture anything that does something like that. But then again, is it just one of those, we can call it a conspiracy theory, where it's being allowed so that there are more people sick, so then, you know, the earlier conversation of the drugs companies.
You know, all this stuff is all so recent in our history, really, isn't it? We don't really have any data on what the long-term effects are. We don't know what our mobile phones are doing to us, and, you know. But what I love about, going slightly off topic, but when people talk about not believing in vibration and that we're all just energy and it's, you know, sound, there is only sound and energy. And then, but they're very happy to accept Wi-Fi. And it's like, so you accept that these phones work like magic, and that you and I are having a conversation in different parts of the same country and we can see each other and hear each other perfectly. And you accept that that's not magic.
That's a really good point.
Yeah, it makes me laugh.
Thank you for pointing it out. Yeah. I mean, sometimes you see things, and just a couple of days ago, I'm sure it was, that I thought about this, like, this is just incomprehensible that you can talk to someone wirelessly on the other side of the world.
Yeah.
And as you just said, hear them clearly, see them clearly. It's like, how is this data being transferred in an instant? Because it literally is in an instant with no delay. I can't comprehend the information.
And yet we just fully accept it, don't we? We say, I don't know how, but I accept it and I use it every single day.
Because we use it. Exactly. We use it. We see it. We live it. It's part of our life now. Yeah. But you sit and start to think about it, and it's like, no. I mean, even magic. I was at a networking lunch the other day, and this guy was doing the card tricks. And all I could think of is like, how do you do it? I just want to know how it's I know it's crazy. It kind of, does it take away the magic? I don't know. But obviously our brains work very differently. Some are just happy with seeing something
just
happening.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I want to know how it's done.
Yeah. Very inquisitive mind. That's a good thing.
Oh my goodness, don't even mention. Yeah, I'm always the one. Any conference, meeting, whatever, my hand is the first one up asking questions. So this is exactly what landed me in podcasting, I suppose, because over time, people always told me that I ask really interesting questions. So when I attended podcast training, alongside people saying, "Oh, your idea is really good," and "Oh, your idea is probably the best in the room," kind of things, like, really. And then in my mind, knowing that I've heard it so many times that I ask interesting questions, and of course in front of the camera it's a different thing because you've got that sort of stage fright. But yeah, here I am asking questions.
You ask amazing questions.
Sharing fabulous stories with people. I have to say that one of my kind of towards the end of the conversation questions with people is, what sort of advice would you give people who would like to set up a similar business or thinking about going into a similar business to you? But of course, yours was triggered by a serious illness. And this is why I'm wondering whether it's an appropriate one to ask you. But anyhow.
Well, I'm very clear on how I came, because it wasn't my intention when I came through my healing journey to start a business. That wasn't, that wasn't, oh my God. But when I look back on my business life, my career, one of the job I was in for 11 years, which was the best thing ever, working for a man who sadly we lost him to cancer. But he asked me in my interview, where do you want to be in 5 years? And I said, I'll be running my own business. And then I fell in love with working with him so much that stayed for 11 years until I had my babies. And but yeah, so it wasn't, that kind of had gone. And I was heard saying to many people, oh, I'm just going to stay here now and take the pension. And, I'm quite happy. I had my career in my 20s and my 30s. I said that often. I said, I've done that, tick. Now my life is not about working. And of course, then your children grow up and go, no, hang on, what's my purpose? I still need to do things. So what I would say to people is continue to be curious. Don't rule anything out. And what I found myself drawn to was working with different coaching programs. I work with an incredible lady called Kathy Heller. Look her up. She has the best podcast called Abundant Ever After. And she's an incredible businesswoman, but you don't realize that it's business at all, because she's very much about living a very aligned life and trusting and allowing. And, she was the one who brought the podcast idea out of me. I mean, she's a highly successful podcaster, 50 million download podcast, top spiritual podcast. But it started out, she did it 9 years ago, and it was called Don't Keep Your Day Job. And it was all about people in jobs that they were just doing to pay the bills, not because they had any enjoyment in it. And she has this belief, as we all do, that, we were put here for a reason with a soul purpose. And her podcast was all about drawing out what was your soul purpose. So I think I would say to people from where I come from it with business is do the practices we talk about and start listening and allow the little nudges and follow that next nudge, take that next step. It will lead you to what you were meant to be doing. And you don't have to call it a business, but you will have these creative ideas that I guarantee you will turn into the most aligned business, and you will feel truly lit up by. That's what's happened for me. I didn't go, I'm going to start a wellness business. I'd be like, I'm the last person who can have a wellness business. I don't feel healthy. I don't feel a good role model. And now I genuinely think, no, this is what I'm meant to do. And you are helping. It's helping people. And really that we're all here for a life of service, but it has to make us feel good. I was a chronic people pleaser. And I thought that was a good thing. I didn't know that was a toxic thing. It's okay to make people happy, but it has to make you happy first. So yeah, I would, there's lots of people I've worked with. Susie Moore is another amazing coach. These people have relatively low ticket programs where you can pay 20, 30 pounds a month to just have coaching sessions with them every month, or you can go for the really high end packages. And I just think if you align yourself and listen to these people, it starts to change the way you think about business. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, you and I are both fans of Lisa Johnson, who's a business strategist, and she's very clear on business. But again, I take a lot from her as well. So I just think be really open. I don't necessarily read books on business, but I like to listen. I'm a much more, as you can hear, verbal person. I like to talk and listen and then I take what works for me, and I think
Yes,
that's what
we
we
all
all
do.
need to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's like there's a sea of coaches.
Yeah.
Although, talking about that, one of my earlier guests, Clive, he's a business coach as well.
Mm.
And he wrote a magazine article in a local magazine down in Cornwall, the Networks magazine. And he actually named, I can't remember how many, but something like 9 different coaches that we kind of need, or maybe not even knowingly
Okay.
have in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, there's some of the obvious ones, like a business coach or an emotional
Yes.
guide kind of coach. But one of the most important ones is like an opposite, whatever he called it, I can't remember now. But someone who's got opposing views to us, because they are the ones who really gonna make us think about what we are saying, what we are doing, who are gonna challenge us to just dig a bit deeper rather than supporting us. And then of course there's the kind of best friend kind of coach who is there for you no matter what.
Yeah.
And so on and so on. So it's kind of, you know, we sort of think about, okay, I need a business coach, but they come in all sorts of shapes and sizes as well. Like, as you said, Lisa is very much a strategist. But then I was chatting to one of the coaches in my network at my networking event on Monday. And she said, it was really funny. I said, you're not really selling yourself. She said, I don't know anything. I don't have any qualifications. Like, okay, what are you selling here? But I said, in a sense that a coach asks you questions that you need to answer and guides you to find your own answers.
Absolutely.
And it, of course, makes sense.
Absolutely. And that's exactly why I think it resonated for me, is because I'd spent my life, as I said at the beginning, working for people and being told what to do. And I thought that's how I work best, because I never trusted myself.
But that's kind of how society kind of guides us through the school system, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's exactly what we are learning, that when we start breaking out of it as business people, business owners, entrepreneurs, whatever you want to call it, is we realize that up till now we've been sort of channeled into this, you know, you need to study, you need to go to uni, you need to get a job, you need to climb the ladder, you need to buy a house, you need to have children, get married, whatever order,
100%.
and then pay into your pension and then retire at whatever 60 odd.
Later and later.
While you can actually have a completely different life. You can live out your dreams, you can live out your hobbies, you can live your life. I mean, right now I'm in this sort of stage where I'm just thinking, like, have I swapped the 9 to 5 to 24/7? But hey, that is a building stage of the life, of the business life.
You need a coach.
And then,
you need a life coach to manage your time.
well, obviously you can't manage time as such, but certainly to manage myself, without doubt. But yes, I'm moving on and now bringing in assistance. So for me, that's the growth in my little startup business. That I'm bringing in assistance to allow me to live out the entrepreneurial part of it as well.
I love that. And because you have so many skills and talents, and we all learn from our coaches that don't waste your time doing things that you could, if you have the resources, that you could pay someone not that much to do for you, so that you can excel in what you excel in and get your message out there that people need, and let the people who love doing the spreadsheets or the social media or whatever that may be. So I think that's brilliant. Do that. That's where I'm going as well. 100%. You can't do all the things.
My problem is I love spreadsheets.
Okay, not spreadsheets. Maybe that's just me.
But yeah, I outsource my social media. So yeah, this young lady assists me.
I love that. Yeah. And again, and you probably think, oh, that's really scary. I can't spend money on that. No, do, because you need to invest your time elsewhere.
This is it. I now have to get to the point of working on what I'm offering to my clients and develop that, so that that's the best version it can be.
Exactly.
To support the clients I will have.
Yeah. And someone said to me, I spoke to a social media manager, and she said, look, we can't all be good at everything. And, she said, this is my job. Social media is a whole job on its own. So you can't do that job and that job. That's why I'm here. And I thought, yeah, that makes sense. So, some people are really whizzy and brilliant at social media, but that's not me.
we start up a business, and then we realize that we just don't just need to be the technician or the doer.
Yeah.
We need to be all sorts of other things. So the sooner we outsource, the better. But then, yeah, it is such a hard journey to make, isn't it? The decisions to pay out money for something that we can't even see what the benefit's going to be.
Yeah.
These are the hardest parts. But yeah, taking steps forward without doubt.
Definitely.
We'll get there.
Yeah,
And
and just keep doing it every single day, and
so
baby
looking
steps.
forward to being in the position that you are in now, that you've been doing it for a while, and that incredible job satisfaction of helping people.
It's a good feeling. I highly recommend it. It's just, it's so rewarding. And you're like, sometimes I get quite giddy and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe it gets to be this good. But you know, you're in flow. You know that you're in that flow state when you're doing what you're meant to do. And, you know, and I never felt that sitting at a desk and staring at a screen. Not for me, not in someone else's office. No, thank you. But I did it.
Oh, well, I think we've all done it.
Yeah.
Well, actually, not necessarily, because I've spoken to people who've been in business for decades, and then they just sort of carry on or start up something new. And of course, some of my guests have started something new later on, even if they'd run a business previously, but they're still coming up with new ideas and reinventing themselves in all sorts of ways.
And you can pivot. You don't have to stay doing the same thing, even when you're, you know, when you have started your business.
Well, I'd love to end on that one. I love your little phrase there that you get all giddy about. You're so happy that it gets so good. I think that is a beautiful little thing to finish on. Is there anything else you would like to share with our audience of people who might think about starting up a new business or have started up and they're just happy to listen to our stories? Any final thoughts?
Do you know the thing that I say every day? I'm like you. I like to have my affirmations. And one of them is trust, trust, trust. Just trust. So even on those days when it's really hard, and don't get me wrong, for all the giddiness, I have days where I'm like, what am I doing? I can't do this anymore. And it's generally those days where you're on your knees and you are broken. You're like, why am I doing this? That you're about to have a massive breakthrough. So please trust that it's all working out perfectly and you're exactly where you're meant to be, and it will all work out. And it's an amazing journey.
Alexandra, thank you so much. It's been absolutely delightful conversation. We are obviously very much on the same page.
Yeah, we are. We really are. We could go for hours.
Preaching very similar things. I'm looking forward to looking into your retreats, and I hope that I can come along to one at some point, and whenever you are in Devon.
Yes, I think I'm going to aim for one by the sea soon.
Promise you're going to come and visit me in Plymouth.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Awesome.
I would love that. Thank you so
much.
I loved our conversation.
Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for listening to New Business in Later Life with me, Ildiko Seeley, where we say no to slowing down and yes to starting up. Loved what you've heard? Please share it or screenshot it and tag me on socials. Let's show the world what thriving in later life really looks like, and share with a friend who is ready for their next chapter. Please subscribe so you are always in the loop. And if you are ready to stop running on empty and start running on purpose, come join us. All the links are waiting in the show notes, including my guests' contacts, the Encorepreneurs Club, and a few tools and services I personally use in my business to help you thrive in yours. Until next time, refuel, refocus, reinvent.